Okay, guys. So I want to talk real quickly about um, society and the breakdown of society, the collapse of society, and the collapse of society going forward, and what you can expect, um, basically from society and everything else, and not so far future. Um, the people are the society is essentially breaking down, and modern society is completely falling apart. I don't know if you can look around you and see it falling apart, but it is. People the it's essentially um, kind of collapsing or imploding in on itself. Our modern society is, and the reason why society is so kind of falling apart and breaking and kind of breaking down and everything else is because you know, all the stuff's been going on with the big Rona, all the stuff going on with the foods and the price of everything, and people thinking that they were going to live for free. People thought that the world was going to give them something for free, and that there was just going to be a free ride the whole time. Uh, Mental health has got taken a big hit. People are mentally really messed up in the head. They're turning into a bunch of crazies these days. Uh, you probably can just look at it as you drive down the street. You probably can notice that people seem to be indecisive. People who don't seem to know which way they're going, or don't seem to have any kind of sense of direction about where they're headed. They don't seem to have uh, they don't seem to have a good bead on what they're doing and everything. Uh, if you see people walking around in the store, they walk around like a chicken with its head cut off. They go in there, buy a few items, come out. Nobody walks out Harley anymore with a buggy full of stuff anymore. You ever notice that people don't walk out with a buggy full of stuff? If you got a buggy loaded down, you that's a big haul for you nowadays. And it used to be a time when a big haul at one point, a great big haul was pretty much two buggies full, but now it's just one buggy completely full is a big haul. Most times it's either half a buggy that's a fairly larger haul or something like that. So if you look at people when they're buying the stuff out at the store, they don't really have as much money, and as you keep on not having as much money and there's not as much stuff there to buy, society just keeps breaking down and people's morale keeps breaking down. And if you notice, people have gotten to be a lot more rude. They've gotten a lot more rude. They've gotten a lot more. They've become more. Uh, seems like nobody can make a decision anymore about what they're going to do with their life or what they plan on doing. They don't seem like they can even plan ahead. Um, if you work a job, you probably notice that a lot of workers showing up just on time, late, stuff like that, and that's where society's going. It's going downhill, and as it keeps progressively going down this hill, it's going down this hill even worse. So the worst thing you can do is essentially the worst thing you can do is essentially try to blend into that society, because that society is going to make you kind of be crazy along with it. The best thing you do is kind of do what you got to do, and just don't worry about what anybody else is doing or what they're thinking or something like that. I mean, you see people out there, and I mean, sometimes you see them, they're like, oh, well, it's sometimes it's okay, and then sometimes it's like it's falling apart. And as society continues to do this, fall apart, as it continues to break down and fall apart, you're going to be right there in the middle of that falling apart process. Okay, so if you want to basically, um, I'm trying to figure out how to explain this, but if you basically are going to be a part of society in any which one way, you're going to have to realize and watch it and just kind of understand that it's under decay. It's falling apart. It's everything else. You got a lot more crazies out here these days. Um, I mean, look at the Uvalde shooting down in Texas. And people want to say, oh, this and that about guns, gun control, and background checks, and so on and so forth. But the boy who did this was a young boy who worked a full time job at Wendy's and kept saying, "I got to get my guns. I got to get my guns." And this boy, somebody told this boy, or somehow I know he did his own research, so he knew what guns to get, and he got some good quality guns, and he saved up his money and he bought these guns just for doing that purpose, hurting people. So as time goes on, and as we continue to see this continuous breakdown of our society, as we could watch this how should I put it, economic collapse, as we watch this worse and worse thing fall apart on us, as we watch this worse and worse thing continue to decay, then the bottom line is, we're just going to keep on seeing more and more and more and more stuff go on. And you're going to have to watch that. You're going to have to deal with that. You're going to have to say, that you're just going to have to realize that that's a part of the new norm in society is riots. People think they get to live for free off the government. People thinking they can somehow or another that they can somehow or another have a somewhat normal life, that living below standards, so to speak, and that's just the way it's going to be. Then on top of that, you're going to have people that's going to kind of, like, if you buy something nice, let's say somebody's in there, and let's just say, for instance, you'd be in a hardware store, and you can afford to buy the nice, let's say, Irwin, hammer. You can buy this real nice Irwin hammer that costs, let's say, $23-40 or whatever for this hammer. Well, you can afford to buy this. It's a good quality hammer, and you can afford to buy it. But the guy beside you is having to buy some $11 hammer, and because he can't afford the $23 or $25 hammer. So he kind of looks at you kind of in a bad way, or kind of, people that when they get broke, they're broke, so they seem to think that you should be broke right along with them. And not everybody spends their money the same way. Not everybody makes the same amount of cash. Not everybody has the exact, situation. Not everybody has, this higher dollar house payment. Not everybody's house payment is 950, $1,000, $1,500 a month, and you've also got 3 kids to feed. So you've also got to think about everybody's situation is different, and some people will make those changes in their life where let's say they'll go to the cheapest apartment they can find. They'll go to a cheap apartment that they can find. They'll make a decision to get rid of a big truck to go to a small car. They'll make a decision to go from an expensive cell phone plan to some kind of cheaper cell phone plan. And, so some people will kind of balance themselves out and level themselves out with either the amount of money they make or how bad the economy is, or they'll kind of adjust and kind of do what they got to do, sort of, going with the flow of life. That hey, you're poor, you're much more poor now, so you have to live poor. And some people would do that. So some people cannot seem to quite understand, why can you be buying this stuff when they can't be doing it? Well, because some people will still, no matter what, have to have Kraft brand cheese, and they can't buy the Great Value brand cheese. And I got news for you. I wouldn't doubt that Kraft makes Great Value brand cheese, because I can tell you this from working when I used to work in food processing, that the same people that make this. You know, the company that makes this for this company makes this for them, makes this for them. Okay, and I can tell you that you can kind of expect that you can kind of may not know it, but let's say I don't know, Rada makes these potato, bags of French fries. Well, they also make Great Value brand French fries. I wasn't meaning to talk about that, but what I was saying was that some people will judge you and look at you differently because what you can afford and what they can't afford. All right, and that's entirely different. I mean, not everybody made that choice to buy a car that has to have high test gasoline. Some people made that choice to buy a Toyota Corolla that's got to have that takes regular test gasoline. It's nothing fancy, but it just works. So some people are more modest like that, while other people are more of the Cadillac driver. You know what I'm saying? And you have to kind of understand that what society starts breaking down, the people that want to live beyond their means and use credit cards and dress beyond their means and want to act like they're such uppity people and they're so rich and everything. And then if you ever really were walking their house, you'd see that they really don't have nothing in their house. And the reason why they don't have nothing in their house is because they are so broke they can't afford to put anything in that house. You see what I'm saying? They got nice fancy cars, got nice fancy clothes, but then they don't have no furniture. They would pretty much be ashamed to almost bring some of their friends over because they can't afford nothing more in their house except for a small little TV stand and a couple of chairs and maybe a bed, and maybe not even a bed, maybe just a mattress on the floor. And the point is that you see, people they don't know this themselves, but they are envious, let's say, of other people. And as this happens, as society breaks down, then those people will be the type of people that will do spiteful and hurtful and mean things to other people that have made those changes in their life and adapted to this new society and this new way of life that they got to do. They've taken this, reparations. They've prepped and they've gotten their food sources together. They got their headstrong straight. They got their water supply. They got their ways to they've started learning ways to make fire. They took a first aid class. They took a class in survivalism and been a survivalist. They took they took all these different type things to where that they were able to handle being whatever to handle going forward, so they can be self-reliant. They're a lot more better going. They look more towards, somebody who's a little more stable can look more towards the future and see that this is not quite the job career that's so good for me. Maybe I should be over here, doing something that's kind of supporting government, and maybe something to do with maybe medical, maybe something to do with some kind of other necessity that people are going to need. Food, that's another thing. If you can get some kind of thing where you're making some places got contracts with the government, some places got contracts with the government, some places got medical, some places got something to do with food. Just services generally that everybody's going to need. Just services generally everybody's going to need, and those services vary from one thing to the next of what people will need. One of those services would be a mechanic, a car mechanic. Of course, they're everywhere, but mechanic working, let's say, at an AutoZone, even though it's not the most paying thing. Working at AutoZone is not the most paying thing, but it's quite a steady career working at AutoZone. So that's not the most glamorous job. That is a job that's going to be needed, and there will always be people coming in there buying windshield wipers and oil changes and stuff to change oil with, antifreeze, spark plugs, car parts. And so people are going to always be going to a place like that. They're going to go there. You see what I'm saying? And so if they possibly can, they're going to go there and they're going to buy it. So if you got a little bit of time in, and you can really get your foot in the door of working down here at AutoZone, even though that's not the most glamorous job, it's not the most paying job. It's a job that does. It's a job that does have one thing going for it, though. It has stability. You see what I'm saying? So if you can possibly get into a job to where you're working down here at this fact, at let's say an AutoZone or some kind of medical facility or something like that. I don't care if you're working at a medical facility and all you are is nothing but cleaning, buffing the floors down there at the hospital. You're still better off than somebody who is going to lose their job working down at a furniture factory, because you're going to still be getting paid when all of them are going to their employment's going to be running out. So you're still going to be making some money while their unemployment's running out. They're going to look and they're going to look and they're going to look for a job, and they're not going to find it, and they're going to be envious of. They'll be willing to take anything, and when they're willing to take anything, they'll look at you and say you were 10 years ahead of the game. You know what I'm saying? Because you were already there doing that. You were already had your foot in the door. You were there at a time when nobody else was willing to be there. You see what I'm saying? And so it's kind of odd, but that will be a good thing, And I'll tell you another thing that probably would be good is tobacco products. Despite the fact that a lot of people might think this or that, going to work down at some vape shop or some place where there's like a little tobacco store or something like that, people will continuously be buying, or a gas station. Gas station, crazy it seems, because people will be buying gas and people will be buying tobacco products. They will be buying those two things: gas, tobacco products, and alcohol. Medical, they'll need medical care. They'll need medical care. They'll need food, and then they're pretty much going to buy a lot of this stuff down at your local Walmart. So I hate to say it, but Walmart is cheaper, and poor people go to Walmart, and whether you like it or not, that's where they go to. They're poor, and they go to Walmart. That's what people do. So if you can kind of get your foot, if you can kind of get your threshold, if you can kind of get your grind in it, and it's some of these lowly jobs, some of these lower, kind of lower type jobs that might not be so glamorous now, in the long run, I bet it will pay off a lot more for you. And I don't know you may have an EMT degree. I don't know you, so like that. You might be working. You might have years experience in restaurant management, and you can run a restaurant that's going to be pretty much there no matter what. And if that be you, then that be you. If that's something you can do, that's good. And if you can stick with that and you get a good traction in there, that's a good thing, because, essentially, unless they start downsizing, which like Long John Silver's did, unless they start having to downsize for some reason, and they're just out of a job for that reason, whatever, that if you can get your foothold into one of the main staples of this country, even grocery stores would not necessarily be a good thing, because there's too many Walmarts. Now, if you can get your foothold in Aldi's, if you're working at Aldi's, which is a place where people are going to go buy food, you would be in a pretty good position when this all happens. So, as society breaks down, and as these people, that don't have but a few bucks here or there, or whatever else, or they're scrounging by, or whatever else, or they're barely getting whatever, then the bottom line is, these people are how should I say it? They're going to be envious of somebody like you. They're going to be envious of somebody like me, and we've done what it takes to be ahead. We bought guns, we bought ammunition, we bought food, we bought water, we bought all this stuff, and then we keep our mouth shut. We don't let people know we got that. You know what I'm saying? We bought cleaning supplies. We bought soap and toothpaste, toothbrushes, and dental care stuff. We bought many things. Like I go every year and get my eyes checked. And every year when I get my eyes checked, I get a new pair of glasses. And they say, like last year I went, they said, you don't really have to get a new pair of glasses. Your old ones will be fine. I said, they got a little bit of scratching on them. And they said, well, we could probably clean that up, maybe clean that up for you. And I was like, yeah, I know that. But they were just trying to think about me and trying to save me some money. But I like to have my, new pair of glasses. And then when I buy one pair of glasses, I always buy two, because usually I get the second pair half price. And if something happens where I can't never get to the eye doctor again, at least as of the moment, I've got a updated pair of glasses. Where some people would not be that smart. They would not be that far ahead. They would not be that far ahead. They would not be that smart. You have to think along the lines of the future and how your life is going. And for so many people, that's going to be caught out there in the woods. It's going to be caught out there in the wilderness when this whole thing does happen. There are people in this world, despite the fact that you see so many YouTube videos and there's so many preppers out here in this world these days. And then you come across me, who's been doing it for like how many years now. And I've had people that follow me and watch my videos. I mean, every single video I put out, somebody, there's like 2, maybe 3 people, or maybe 4 people, I swear they probably watched my video, every single video I put out for I don't know how long now. They especially like, and I mean, even they like it when I do show you something videos, but they are like that though. You know what I'm saying? They like every video I put out, and they can tell you, I've been on here for a long time, a real long time doing this. I mean, even back whenever Trump very first got in office, I was saying then, prepare and prepare now, because there's nothing that even he can do to stop what is going to come, because I said it was going to be a credit crunch back then. I realized then that the financial system in this country will collapse. It will. It's a matter of time. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's a matter of time before it does, and it's going to happen. There's going to be a financial collapse in this country. And when that finally does happen, and when it finally goes down, then people that are ahead, people that are looking at who are putting aside, people who are looking ahead at their job and their future and their career and everything else, those people are going to be so far ahead that it's not even funny. All right. Yeah, they're going to be so far ahead that it's not even funny. So, probably been noticing me doing this. Well, I've had to have this taped up. Okay? So I'm going to show you some things I bought this week for prepping. Alright? Now, I don't tell you to spend all your money on everything else. You spend your money however the hell you want to, or however you can afford to. I've always said that every person is different. But I sort of had a bit of a wake-up call this week when I had this. I was down at work, and I was sliding along, and I was had this razor blade, and I was working with this razor blade, and I was sliding this razor blade along, and as I did, I didn't think my finger was in the way, so I looked over there real quick, and as I did, that razor blade come along and cut the tip of my finger about off. About cut a big chunk of my tip of my finger out, and I was bleeding like a stuck pig. I had no way to treat it. I could only put a couple of Band-Aids on it. I didn't have no triple antibiotic cream. The company didn't have anything. They keep everything locked up. And if I would have told them that I got hurt by that blade, I don't know if they would try to drug test me, which I wouldn't care if they did. I'm not on drugs. but they would take away everybody's razor knives. So, and I did not want to cost everybody the razor knife for me getting hurt. That would have been BS, you know what I'm saying? So, they gave me a big wake-up call. I had no good way to treat this. I had a couple of Band-Aids, and I just put one Band-Aid over top of it like that, another Band-Aid over top of it like that, and then I just stuck some tape and wrapped it up, and that was the best I had. People looked at me and said, "What'd you do to your finger? How'd you cut your finger?" I just said, "Well, I was just over there working." I said one of the little wires kind of caught me in my finger, and that was it. And they said, "Okay." Didn't realize I had half my freaking fingertip about cut off. But I can honestly say this: I don't know if I'll be able to show you this on the scar. Yeah, you can see it right there. You see that line right there? That was where I cut my finger clean down to the bone. I mean, I cut it clean down to the bone with a razor knife. I was putting down linoleum, laminate flooring. It wasn't linoleum, it was laminate flooring. And I was putting down this roll-on laminate flooring, and I was kind of working around, and I had a hook blade in a friggin' one of those, in a razor blade. So I had a hook blade in there that's kind of used for doing shingles, with a good kind. And I just I switched over this hand. I sort of just went to looking around. I looked around that way, and next thing I know, as I looked back around, that thing barely caught me, and it cut my finger clean down to the freaking bone. And I put some gauze pad. I put some triple antibiotic. Well, I poured some peroxide down there, and it burned. And then I put some triple antibiotic cream in there, put some gauze pads on it, and then I wrapped it up real good, and then I taped it up real good and kept it, and then put a glove on my hand, and I worked around for about almost a week and a half with that hand, with the thing on that hand and everything else, and it was bad. It was real bad. Needless to say, though, I went down to one of these home medical places, and they said my insurance was too bad. They said they would not take care of me. They said I would have to go to a urgent care or a hospital, and I still had to go work that night. So I just did a home doctor thing, and I did it for an entire week and a half. My finger got better, but it was down to the bone. I could literally open my finger up and look at it. It was down to the bone, and I got it better, just the same as this is getting better now. It's all sealed up good. But I'm still keeping it wrapped up because that deep of a bad of a cut and everything else, I still don't want anything to get in that cut at all. And I probably could have had it off of here for making the video, but I didn't. I'm sorry. But anyway, that made me really think, because I was totally unprepared, guys. I mean, I was totally unprepared to be able to. I had no way to handle this bad laceration of my finger. This bad cut. I had no way to handle that. Not in a good way. So it made me really start thinking about this. And I bought this. Now, you can buy whatever brand you want. I don't care. I don't care if you buy the Walmart brand. But I will tell you that this is only just a little bit more than the Walmart brand. And it's got top quality brands of everything in here. It's got like Neosporin. It's got Band-Aid brand. It's got it got you some good tape in there. You got a pair of scissors in there. You got all this good stuff in there for that kind of money. And it's a 160 piece kit, and I bought it for $16 for a 160 piece kit. That makes everything in this thing it's like $16.44. So that makes everything in here just about 10 cents a piece or something like that. And so I thought to myself, that's actually a pretty good deal, and it's got a carry-on case to it too. And like I said, it just made me got to thinking. I said, now what if the world were to collapse and I was in this situation where I had my finger cut in that kind of bad way? What would I be able to do? Other than pour gunpowder in and light it up, and so being all seriousness, besides playing Rambo, what could I do? And I just thought, well, it wouldn't hurt for me to buy a first aid kit. You don't even have to buy one this expensive. They got one out at Walmart for $7. $7. It's all it costs, And maybe you got something. I look at it, I'll be like, my God, I got a nice little bit of junk in there too. So when I got home with my cut, I was able to properly take good care of my stuff when I got here at the house. But while I was there, I was not in any kind of position or prepared to handle that. Okay, so I will tell you this. Maybe it would be a good idea if you don't have something like this either, then get it. If you want to buy a smaller one and throw it in your bug out bag, not your bug out bag, your get home bag, probably a good idea because, like I said, when I got cut, especially when you're in a situation where you're in a survival situation, you're going to really probably think that you would have liked to have had that first aid kit because if in every video I always say keep band-aids. And every time I make one of those videos, I'm always saying to keep Band-Aids and triple antibiotic cream. I have that in every single bag. I always have, and I always will have some Band-Aids. And generally, the only reason why I can't keep tape in there is because I found that tape does give a problem. But I found that the tape that comes with this kind of stuff, for some reason, doesn't seem to have that same kind of problem with get stuck and then you can't get it open. I don't know what it is different about medical tape that does that, but it's something different about medical tape. It's not like the other kind of tapes. And then another thing I want to show you, anyway, another thing I want to show you is I got one of these little guys, and this is an emergency stove. I'm going to probably put this in my little get home bag. I won't put it in my bug out bag, for God's sakes. It wouldn't make no sense for me to put this in my bug out bag. But I actually had this lit up tonight today, and I'm going to show you what this looks like. Inside of it, it's actually really small. I mean, I'm telling you, this thing is not that big. It's about the size of my hand. And I had a lot of trouble. I finally got a fire started in it. I didn't want to use any of these. These are really cheap to replace. They say you usually use about 3 of them to get a pot of water boiling. They say use 3 of them in here, and it will get a pot of water boiling. If you use 3, it gets really, really hot, which I didn't use these to get it started. My point of buying this was to actually get a fire started in here with wood and everything else besides using something like this, So, but you can use these things as fire starters too, and you can actually just buy this little piece right here if that's all you want for like $7.50 on Amazon, or you can buy it with these and use these as fire starters. You just use, like it says, use only 3 of them. Then basically you put 3 in there, light it up, and then you get a pot of water boiling with it. This costs $11 on Amazon. But I will tell you this though, and it's still got a smell going to it. You can probably see this where I used it earlier, and I'm gonna show you a little small video at the end of where I had it lit up. I will tell you this though, I tried to get a fire started. It's been raining like crazy. It's been wet. Raining. And it's just too much moisture out there. It's winter time. It's not drying up. I just was not able to really get that fire hot enough in this small, as cold as it is. It was still, at that time, it was below 50 degrees. And, I was just not able to quite get I was just not quite able to get, any kind of real fire going because with normal way, because it's too small. Now, if it would be summertime, it might be a different story. I haven't tried it then. I just got this in the mail, ordered from Amazon, but you can put, some. I tried to get a fire starter. First thing I did was put leaves in there. And when I put the leaves in there, and then I try to light them up, that's normally how I would start a fire. I would just put the leaves in there, and then as the leaves started burning, I would just start kind of putting some twigs in there, or I'd pretty much build something about like this right here and put the leaves, put the sticks across top of it. So I tried to get the leaves to burn, and the leaves were dry, but I guess they just had still too much moisture down in them leaves where they wouldn't burn. So I still could not get it to burn. And so I didn't want to use these. So I tried my next thing. I tried a tea light candle. So I put the tea light candle in here, tried to get it to light it. Still too cold, still too wet. Not even tea light candle would hardly get it hit it. I could get a little something going, but every time I get a little something going, it would just pretty much keep putting it out on me. I just could not get enough of something going. Build enough motivation energy there to really get a fire going in this tiny little thing. So, I mean, it can be done. I could have probably have done it, but I probably would have had to leave that taillight candle there for quite a while. It probably would have taken quite a while to really work at that, get that going. I mean, it could have been done, but it took me a long time. So finally, well, I even tried dryer lint. I said, okay, dryer lint. So I put dryer lint in there, said, let's light her up. And I put dryer lint in there. For some reason, dryer lint just sort of smoldered. And I put some stuff on top of it, trying to get it going. And it's just too small, and I couldn't really get enough stuff to go and get going for energy, get that energy level going. So I still couldn't get a fire going. I said, my God, what's going on today? So finally, I just resorted in one of these things. And these things are excellent to keep your bug out bag. It just get you like a, yeah, just get you like a couple, get you like six of these things. Get you like 6 of these things. 87 cents a piece down at Walmart. These are Duraflame Fire Start. And all you have to do, and you can just open it. I don't know if this is one of those kind you can put in a package or not. I had a different kind of Fire Start. Or all you have to do is kind of put it down in here, somewhere or another. I don't care how it fits. Just kind of get it down in here. And what you do, you'll just kind of light it up. I mean, the package is stopping me from getting it down in there, but it just light it up. And once you light it up, this thing will burn. And once this gets started, it'll have about at least probably 12 minutes or more by itself. And then you can start putting wood on top of that, and you got your enough energy there going from a fire starter to actually get a fire going, this little thing. So if you were to decide that you'd want this thing's made by, dang it, what's this thing made by? It's made by Coghlan's, made by a company called Coghlan's, which I'm not going to leave the link in the description below. You can choose which one you want for yourself, but it's made by a company called Coghlan's, which I don't think it's a bad product. I mean, especially when you get 24 of these and you replace these, and it only takes 3 to get water boiling. You know, replace this for $3.50. So I don't think it's a bad product. I just, you know, I was kind of very disappointed I wasn't really able to really get a good roaring fire going in this thing without the help of a fire starter. And that's mostly just because it is so small. And I just was not able to really build. I mean, if I would have had the right amount of stuff, if I'd had to build the right way, I could have actually just built like a side thing and a side thing. And I could just put some nice good amount of sticks over top of it, put some leaves underneath, put some good leaves underneath that, got them leaves burning real good, and then if I had to, I just keep packing the leaves up in there as they keep burning. I just keep throwing more leaves in there as I had to, and maybe some twigs, some sticks, and stuff like that, and then finally I got them sticks on top burning, or made like a little igloo or something and put a little tea light candle in there and let it go. You know, it's easy. It's not that hard, but it's been wet, cold, and I just was not able to get enough energy in this tiny little thing to get something going without help. But that doesn't mean that you have to use this. Don't mean you can't use what comes with it. So, you know, for $11, I think it's a pretty good buy. You know, in total, these, that, I've got about so much money. I got I want to say $30 in all, but that's just one of my prepping items. And I'm gonna pretty much gonna put these in my get home bag. I'm just gonna put these in my get home bag because it'd be a good excellent thing. And you never really know when you might need fire starters. I mean, I could, one way or another, if I had been out there doing it on the flat ground, I probably could have gotten some way to have gotten a fire going and got something going on that, going a little bit bigger fire. But trying to start in this, it was kind of tough. But the good thing about this is you won't hurt somebody, you won't burn the ground. It also can keep a fire isolated, and you got a nice way there that you can actually put a pot just right on top of this, and it give you fire. And I don't care if it's raining outside. Another good thing about this too, as long as you got this right here, you can put yourself under some cover. As long as you got this right here and you got these things in there like that, I don't care. You will be able to light a fire. You know, you will be able to light a fire. So, and especially if you got you some good matches too. If you got some good matches or a good lighter or something like that, just plain old lighter, will just do the trick just fine, and you'll be able to get fire lit. You know, so I mean that's entirely up to you. Everybody's different, but anyway, you decide what you want to do. I'm just saying that's what I did, and you know, just give you some food for thought and something to think about. Anyway, take it easy, be good at it, and see you on the next time.
These just want to smolder. It's been a bit too wet apparently. Oh. Yeah, it's been a bit too wet. I can't get these leaves to burn.